Welcome to the Homba Biz Radio Show. It's your host, Eugene Rowe, on the best broadcast for the home-based business owner tonight. Two great entrepreneurs on two non-academic ends of the business owner spectrum. First, Mickey Clayton, visionary of Insiights Sports Radio. We're going to talk about Aaron Hernandez, the NCAA paying its players, and his vision for the ultimate sports radio show. Then, Joseph McMullen, HAAPCO Music, using your business skills to help kids, college students in the community.
You know, here's the deal. Let's drop a couple of ideas that people can take right away.
A lot of times, not only are women not leaning in or sitting at the table, they're not even walking in the room.
Number of people who can help you have a really significant impact in terms of your business is a lot smaller than we think it is.
Mickey Clayton is a multifaceted professional with a wide-ranging resume covering athletic coaching, administration, and leadership, along with fundraising and even institutional development. Now, he's currently serving as the executive director of the Rattler Boosters Incorporated. Now, that's the lead direct support organization for Florida A&M University Athletics. He's here to talk to us today about his vision, Insiights Sports Radio. Mickey, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you and discuss some exciting things that are going on in the world of business.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about what Insiights Sports Network is all about.
Well, Insights is actually an idea that I came up with and contacted some friends of mine that I had been working with because we had wanted to put together a sports radio talk show that allowed us, all of us having worked in the industry, to give a view of what's going on that the average person doesn't see. You know, you can hear things from different commentators that actually never walked the walk or talked the talk, but all of us had been in athletics as coaches, players, administrators, and so we get an opportunity to see things a little different than the average person.
Gotcha. Now, I know you're at Florida A&M as the executive director right now. Is the Insiights Sports Radio focused primarily on college sports programs?
Well, we have it actually started off in college, and as we keep formulating and working it, fine-tuning it, a lot of what happens in college starts from a lot of what happens in pro starts in college. Some of the problems that you have with potential athletes that in the pros, they started having those problems in college and in high school. So we kind of go back and we don't really talk about a particular person. We try to deal with the problem as a whole.
Gotcha.
So we try to give insight to that. You know, we'll talk about some of the things that are going on with university presidents, how involved should they be in what goes on in athletics. You know, we have an upcoming show that we'll discuss the larger schools actually succeeding from the NCAA and creating their own entity to play with their own governing rules where they pay the athletes. So there's a lot of things out there that starting in collegiate sports that will have an effect on what goes with them at the next level.
Now, you mentioned something about, covering, say, hey, not just the student while they're in college, but trying to figure out, even if they have issues in the pros. Real quick, this wasn't even one of my questions, but since you mentioned it, Aaron Hernandez, what's your take on that whole situation up in New England?
Well, and actually we wrote a story that's on our website, Insiights, with two I's, SIIGHTS, and the article is called Badass Little Kids. And what the article talks about is the fact that a lot of times when people evolve into problematic adults, as kids they were problems. They didn't all of a sudden get that way. You know, you hear people say, well, what about, they have to watch who they're around and this, but athletes are born to be leaders. Their coaches push them that way. Their minds are set that way. So most of the time when athletes get involved and do something that's wrong, it's not usually because they're following the crowd. They're usually the leaders of the crowd.
Wow. So
I made you think about that a little bit, didn't it?
Never thought about that. So, it's not just necessarily something that, in other words, he's pretty responsible for his own actions, and it's not something that, say, for instance, the coach should be, kind of lambasted for. Would you say that?
Well, see, a lot of times where the coaches get beat up about is that they recruited a kid. And how you handle their development is key. And if you turn the other way and you let their talent allow them an inordinate number of excuses or passes, then you create a problem. You compound the issue. And that's why a lot of times in professional sports, they spend a lot of time investigating the background of people, because when they invest millions of dollars, they don't want to look up in the morning and see that you've gotten yourself involved in a negative situation. It's going to reflect on that NBA team, the owner, and all the money that they put in you that just gets washed down the drain. So those are some of the things in our show that we try to talk about to give people insight that they might not see in a day-to-day activity or day-to-day reading.
Now, you also mentioned something about university presidents on the collegiate level and how involved they should be in the athletics programs at their universities. What is your take on that, being someone who's actually coached and been in the athletic department for so long and having to deal with that university president? What's your take on that?
See, don't try to steal one of my show topics now, but see, we actually we have a show we actually talk about what happened at Rutgers and Penn State, and we have an upcoming show that we're discussing that because, see, the presidents have to be involved. But we had a president that made the comment, he said that his athletic budget takes up 10% of his overall budget for the university, but it takes up way more time than that for him to effectively manage it. So a lot of presidents look for different things in terms of selecting an athletic director that can effectively manage and run that program for him. And they go a lot of different ways. Now, there's even people that have been athletic directors now that are being recommended and have been considered for a presidential job because being an athletic director, they have so many things they have to balance in terms of being effective in that role.
Wait, so being a college athletic director, that doesn't mean you just kind of show up at the games and, shake some hands. You actually do real work as an athletic director?
They don't even act amazed. Don't even act Don't even act amazed. But you have to be able to handle multi-million-dollar budgets. Multi-million-dollar budgets. You're a lot of times the athletic departments actually start off with $0 when the fiscal year starts, and it's built on projected revenue, so they have to be able to make their own budgets. They have to manage staff that are over 100 people in the staff and all the different things that come along with it. So it is a job that really requires an individual with a lot of insight and ability and knowledge in an array of areas to be able to be successful as an athletic director and still be able to be effective financially to be able to make ends meet and manage all those anywhere from 18 to 24 teams.
Wow. So with the necessary focus on multi-million-dollar budgets, you mentioned that Insiights Sports Radio, one of the things you're covering soon is possible big school, need I say secession from the NCAA to, maybe start paying players or what? Expound on that for me. I don't want to get it wrong here.
Well, and see, there was an interview very recently where what is happening now is that a lot of the colleges have been wondering what is going on with the major colleges. When they vote, it's a one vote per school, but the smaller schools always outnumber the larger schools, the so-called superpowers. So a lot of things that the superpowers have as a special interest will never pass just in sheer numbers. But one of the things that they have is that they want to be able to control their destiny and their fate, and there is a lot of discussion that's going on that is just now bubbling to the surface that one of the things that they're concerned about is being able to pay their football players. And the smaller schools don't have the money to be able to do that, so they would always vote it down. So the NCAA is actually at a crossroads in terms of that. There's some lawsuits going on now about players and being concerned that the NCAA has these games that they play and the student athletes do not receive any of the funds from that. So NCAA is kind of at a crossroads as we speak today.
Now, Mickey, you said something that I've had this debate with a number of people, and I've always been the guy that says, why don't the big schools, pay their players when they're making multiple millions of dollars in bowl games? And based on what you're telling me, it's not necessarily the big schools not wanting to pay the players. It's the smaller schools not wanting to have to pay the players. Is that
I would say that's fair to say, because the smaller schools' budgets they don't make the money that some of the major schools do. And a lot of the major schools, when you look at all the schools that play competitively in intercollegiate activities, there's only 20 or 25 that actually show a profit at the end of the year.
Wow.
So it puts them in a position where if you go to a larger institution, you will be able to receive, as a student athlete, more benefits than if you went to a smaller school that couldn't afford to do it. So since we can't afford to do it, we're going to try to make it balanced across the board, so we'll vote it down. This will be a hot topic on our show. So, I mean, these are the type of issues that we will be discussing on our show.
And since we're talking about Insiights Sports Radio, we've got CEO, owner Mickey Clayton here. How did the vision come up in order to start the radio network?
Well, that's a real good question. It was something that came to me that I wanted to do, and you know, you go back and you think about some of the experiences that you've had, some of the things that you've seen, and then you try to bring along some good people with you on your team. Clayton Smith, whose father was a former president at South Carolina State and at Florida Memorial College, and he had worked with the Charlotte Hornets, and he had worked on campus here at Florida A&M University. And then you have Alvin Hollins, who was the sport information director for over 30 years at Florida A&M University. And Gerald Tooks has his own production company, G Squared. So I think I have a real good team around me that brings in an array of talents and diversity that would allow us to be able to hit some subjects from different angles, and people who have the ability to contact people to be on the show so that we can reach out and get different people from different institutions and from different walks of life in professional sports that will be able to be a part of the show to add to the interview of what we're doing.
Well, definitely. I think you guys are doing a great thing. I've learned so much about, you know, the sports industry, especially from the collegiate standpoint, in just this short interview. If people want to log on and listen to more about you guys' insights at Insiights Sports Radio Network, how can they log on?
Well, we're at www.insights.com, INSIIGHTS. Same on Twitter, same on Facebook. And what we want to do is we want to be able to educate, entertain, and amuse you.
Awesome. Mickey Clayton, visionary of Insiights Sports Radio, thank you for your time.
No, thank you for having me on, and continue to do what you do. I'm always welcome available to talk to you and be able to help some of the business owners that are trying to do things, because we all have to kind of stay together and find a niche to be able to market what you're doing so that you can get it out so other people can see it.
I agree. That's awesome. We're definitely bringing you back, Mickey.
Thank you.
Homba Biz Radio.
Here's the deal. Let's drop a couple of ideas that people can take right away.
The best broadcast for the home-based business owner.
Some think that just having a website on the internet is enough to bring attention to your business.
Homba Biz is short for home-based business.
Women not leaning in or sitting at the table, they're not even walking in the room.
Like us on Facebook.
The number of people who can help you have a really significant impact in terms of your business, your wealth creation, is a lot smaller than we think it is.
Visit HombaBiz.com and click the like button at the bottom right.
And then once I realized how much time I was actually investing in other people, I said, okay, something has got to give.
Homba Biz Radio.
Absolutely, and then you guys, y'all look good.
The best broadcast for the home-based business owner.
HAAPCO Music Foundation is dedicated to music and the education of our youth. Now, their goal is to provide scholarships for deserving students to attend any music-related university program of their choice in the entire United States. On the line, Mr. Joseph McMullen, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time, and thanks for the call, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience.
Now, tell us a bit about your background before we get into HAAPCO Music. Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, personally, my background came from a single-family home. Went to public schools all throughout my life. And while I was in school, I was in band from middle school all the way through college. But just briefly about my transition from high school to college.